All right, I'm back. I just needed to remove my car for my neighbor. It's it's well, this video you could watch this video anytime you are free. So I don't have to wait for you guys to start coming online. I know that you come online as I'm still online. All right. Yeah, that's that for that. Let's. Sorry, I think anytime I'm having this stuff, I need someone around to help me do things like this. You know. Uh, where am I? Where am I? Where am I? Okay, so we are here. I need to come share my screen. Ah, this had, had distracted our free flowing class, but then we move regardless. Yes, we were at the multiplication part. So we just finished building. We just finished building cat 3 dash more. Let's see what we've done here. We just finished building like a function. Let me still tell you guys that I'm live. Okay, I think I should copy this. Copy. Right. Okay, so while I'm waiting for you guys to come online, let me use the opportunity to mention it. We are going to be having younger brothers in tech, in January. We are bringing in more people to come learn from us. I won't be the only person teaching. As much as I'll be teaching as well, I want you all to have grown to the point where you all can teach this stuff, you know. Network connection poor. Wow, Nigeria. So I want you guys to grow to the point where we all can teach this stuff. I don't have to come online to start teaching the younger generation of this community how to write code when I've taught people, you know. I've taught a lot of you, and it's your commitment to the WinMingle community as a student, you know. That's the reason why we are not taking tuition fees. We are making sure that everybody can be here. We are not taking to teach this the way that I'm teaching it. I'm teaching you the right way. I'm training you, grooming you for an international job, you know. And we are trying to ensure that every Nigerian can afford to grow this valuable skill. You know, it's our own contribution to the society, the WinMingle community. We are doing this. This is our own charity. You know, we are teaching a life-changing skill to everyone for free. You know, no school fees needed. And as a member of this community, you should be up and doing, because younger ones will soon come and they will soon start asking you questions. In fact, I'm going to add them to the same social media as you, you know, the same WinMingle media on the training center as you all. I'm going to add them there. So when they keep asking their questions, there will be experienced people that know more than them to answer them. I don't have to keep answering all the time. The only time I need to come and answer questions there is when you guys now that are the first batch, the first cohort of this training is asking questions. That's the only time that the questions will require my attention. But for now, I'm channeling them to you guys. In fact, the live streams that we should be using to teach them should be one of you doing it. You know, it should be one of you guys now learning, hearing my voice. It should be one of you training them, not me coming online all the time. So you should have your own setup and all that. I have to teach you how I do this stuff. This thing was difficult for me to learn. For those of you that were here at the beginning, you saw that I was having a lot of difficulties. In fact, I had to change an entire house just because of this stuff. You know, I had to go back to where I used to live and set up my office, you know, just because I want to, you know, I want the network to be fine. And then I think that was not even the reason why the network is good. I learned how to connect this thing better. Nigerian network is really bad. I'm using wire connection now, not wireless. And the wire connection is going well. No network issues. Nigeria don't have data connection. Anyways, um, I've waited a little bit for you guys. We should continue. So this is what we are doing. We've built an A to I function, and what the A to I does is the A to I is to convert the argument into a string and pass it into here, into this function. Like I said, anytime you see a C program, the first thing you should do is to look for the main function. Once you understand the main function, you understand what every other function that is called into the main function is doing. So right here, we have a main function that is declaring two integers and three integers actually, two number variables and a result. We have a code here saying if the argument C, the argument count, if it is less than or more than 3, throw an error. It means there are no two variables to multiply. And then inside number 1 and number 2, we are converting the string that is being typed into the 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 command line. We are converting it into an integer, and then we are passing them to be the first position, like position 1, not position 0. Since position 0 is going to be the name of the file, we are passing position 1 and position 2 into number 1 and number 2, and we are saying result here should be equal to number 1 and number 2, which is the integer value of the string that was passed into the command line at position 1 and 2. Remember when I told you about indexing? Position 0 is the first position, position 1 is the second, position 2 is the third. Okay, and then we are saying result should be position 1 times position 2, and we are printing out the value of result and returning 0. So this is all there is to this entire function. Now see where the problem starts. How to convert a string to an integer? There's a built-in function for it. Our assignment says at this point at the top that somebody said I must do multiplication and not addition. The multiplication and addition is the same. The main.c file is the same. The only difference between the multiplication and the addition is this part here where you say plus instead of add or minus or division or whatever it may be. That's the only difference between these two files, considering the fact that they are still collecting two parameters. And aside from that, the next thing I'm seeing somebody advising people. What are they saying here? And my advice to those changing cohorts should be last option. It's a trial of reason is coding is very difficult while starting. Endurance, consistency amongst others keep you going. Before you know it, you will get 90% of the challenges you are facing will be there during the next squad. Be focused, keep trying. You will get your face. Okay, okay, this person is actually giving you a good advice. Yeah, the thing about this changing cohort thing, is it's good. It's good. See, the bad part of this thing is when you don't try again. The challenge is going to be there till you solve it. Changing your cohort just gives you more time to keep trying. Okay. The problem with people that fail, they are people that don't try. It's fine to fail the first time. It's fine to buy more time. It's fine to, but don't stop. That's what it is. I was telling somebody that you are learning software engineering today. You think you just want to learn it because you want to make money in 6 months. No, you're a mediocre. You have to learn this thing and keep adding to yourself daily and expecting the outcome, you know, in the next 5 years. Even if now you are not seeing the result now, trust me, in 5 years it will be. See, I used to remember when I was learning this thing. I was in the university. I was like year one, year two. I was struggling with this stuff, you know. So what I used to do was I came from a humble home. I did not really have much, you know. So I had to work. I'll go to school and go to work. I used to play music then for a living, you know. I was really good at this stuff. I'm still really good at this stuff, you know. So after school, I will go to work, and after work, I'll come back home by let's say 9:15, 9:30 thereabout, and that's when I start programming. I start learning up until 4 a.m., 3:30 a.m., 4 a.m. Then I not sleep. My mom used to be there to always come and check up on me. I will not sleep and wake up by 7 and go back to school. Guess what? My classmates, when I doze in class, when I if the class is a little bit boring or then I want to sleep, I'm so tired, I'm so exhausted. I did that throughout my school days. You know, my classmates would literally laugh at me, you know. Hey, see him, he's sleeping. I could remember a few times when people laugh at me, be like, hey, it's dozing off, it's dozing off. They don't know I was paying a price. Today they have to go serve somebody 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and I don't, because I've paid the price. Last time I came out in the morning by 7 a.m. and I saw people rushing off to work. I was driving and there was like, hold up. I was like, wow, so people still do this stuff? Because I never wake up by 7, man. I wake up by 9, you know? And that's because of the price that I have paid. It's because of consistency, you know? Nobody, no boss can call me to shout at me and be like, hey, eh, why are you not at work? Hey, come and call me, sir. Hey, it doesn't happen. That's because of software engineering. Software engineering is the skill for all. Trust me. Regardless of what you're doing, incorporate this knowledge into what you're doing, into your business, into your. It's like the skill for all. Trust me. So that's just what it is. Consistency is the way forward. I was consistent. I did that every night, every single night. I kept learning. I kept growing my mind. I kept trying to. You all are seeing my in-depth knowledge of this stuff. There's nowhere you go in Nigeria that they will hold your hand and sit you down to teach you this way. There's nowhere. So keep trying. That's the point. You know, you can switch your cohorts, but keep trying, keep pushing. Don't stop learning. You know, that's all there is to this stuff. Okay. I want to go further because we don't want this class to get too long. I want the videos to be watchable. Yeah. So we've explained all of this. Now I had already prototyped this A to I function before. I have it in my mind already designed. So I'm going to explain to you guys. Instead of just using calling the standard one, the one from standard library, let's build it. Let's build it. So we do something technical today. Let's learn more technical things. We are clearing this. Let's VI into 3 dash more. Yeah, so let me slow down a little bit so you guys can understand me. So just before the main function, we want to build the A to I function. Okay, and it returns an integer. Remember, we are taking in a string and we want to return an integer, A to I, right? That's what it is, and it takes in a character, right? From the Argv, takes in character. Yeah. So character, it has to be a pointer. We want to know the we want to convert it to something else, so it has to be a pointer, right? If you don't know what pointers are, go back. I thought about it in previous classes. Pointers are really handy. Yeah. So first things first is we we need to count the number of strings on the screen. We want to know the length, right? That's one of the first things that we really need to do. And for us to know the length, we need to do a counter and increment. We need to increment something. So let's just define a few uh, variables. Let's say int I that we'll use in counting the length, and then let's use length to hold the number of uh, the whole thing. And I think we should also define them. Let's call them. Let's give them I is equal to 0. I is equal to 0, and len 2 is equal to 0. So it will set len after calculating what it is. So while no need for this stuff. While s learn, okay, while s learn is not equal to, remember, let's check for when it is not equal to the n term of an array. When it's not equal to the n term of an array, yeah, what do we want to do? We want to say, well, this is not equal to the n term of an array. We want to increase the value of len, right? Because we want to know the total length of this stuff. Yeah, we want to increase that's it. That's what it is. So basically, what are we doing? We are counting the length of the string, right? That's what we want to do. We want to count the length of s, So we are saying while s len, and we know len is equal to 0, we want to increase the total number of n here, right? Yeah, so we are not even using I here. Now, the next thing we want to check for is, we want to check if this total number of we want to index the string now. Okay, let's index the string, right? Len is equal to 0, s len. Let's index it. And what do we need to do? What's the next step? Okay, yes. First step, we know the total number of digits here on the screen inside each character. We know if they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's very important. I'm going to explain to you why we need to count this thing much later. Next thing we want to do is we want to know if we have positive or negative values. Yes, that's another very important thing. We want to change integers to strings to integers. We need to know if it was a -1 that was passed into the the command prompt. Remember, I told you these things are arguments passed to the command prompt. They are seen as strings, so we need to convert them to integers, right? So we want to know if it has a minus sign or if it does not have a minus sign. So first things first that we want to do is we want to see, let's use that I that we initialized and say if it is equal to, if it is still while it is still less than the total value of letters in n. So let's say while let's do this complete so we don't confuse ourselves. While I is less than len, which is the total number, what do we want to do? Okay, yes. So see, let's have another value that we can turn on and turn off if we are calculating this stuff. Let's say f, you know, is equal to 0, right? We can turn on and turn off f anytime we want. At position 0, f is off. At position 1, f is on. So we know which of the, when we are calculating for this index, when we are calculating for this index of I, we know that if s is on, we are working on this one, this particular index of I. If it's off, we know that we've passed it. So let's check len and f. Let's know if it's on or off. I'm going to explain these things that I'm thinking. 0 and f is equal to 0. So we are checking if I is less than the total number of s here, and then if f is equal to 0, which is a variable that we just created. Sorry, we defined f. This would have thrown an error. We defined f without adding it here, without initializing it. Yeah, so we need to initialize f, and yeah, My mind is everywhere. It's all over the place right now. Right? So yeah. So we want to check if f is equal to and equal to 0. First thing we want to know if it's a negative number or not. In essence, we want to know if this particular index of f contains a negative number. That's the first thing we want to know. So we'll say if, right, s, this index of x is equal to minus, if it contains a negative number. What do we want to do if it contains a negative number? Okay, see, in multiplication, minus 4 plus 4 is like a minus 4. And then minus 4 times minus 4 is like a plus 4. So if the minuses are odd, the 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 result is going to be odd. And if the minuses are like if the subtractions are like even, the result is going to be positive. So what we want to do is we want to have another value that checks the total number of minuses if it is uh, even or odd, right? If it's even, we want the result to be a positive number. If it's odd, we want the result to be a negative number, right? So this is my brain working here. We let's declare something else to find out if it's even or odd. So let's declare a new variable here. Let's declare a new variable, say d. All right, we say d. We want to check if d is okay. Let's set d equal to 0 first. Yeah, and now we want to say if s if s at position I is minus, we want to increment d. We want to increment d. So at the first increment of d, d is going to be an odd number, which will cause this to be 0. In essence, if there's only one value with a negative sign, let me just come here and calculate and show you what I'm thinking. So if we have like a minus 2 times 3, the result here is supposed to be, since the result here is supposed to be a minus 6, right? And it's a minus 6 because we have only one subtraction sign here, which is to say that the number of subtractions in this equation is odd. If the number of subtractions in this equation is odd, we want to the solution to be odd as well. If it's even, if 3 had another minus sign, if 3 had another minus sign here, the number of this will be 1 and 2, which is going to be even, and this is supposed to be even 6. You know, this is simple elementary mathematics, and it's running in my mind as such. And so here at the top where we are writing our code here, we are saying that if si is equal to this, we want to increment the value of d. We want to say d plus plus, right? We want to say d plus plus. So first instance of a negative sign up uh, at our terminal, at our command line, would would throw would throw a negative result. In essence, we still need to have another value here that holds the result and all that. Don't worry, as the need for them arise, we'll be creating the initializing and creating them, right? So that's for that, right? We then need to go further to create another if statement. This one here, this first one here tells us if the value is negative or if the value is positive. The next one that we want to do is we want to find out if the value is within the range of 0 to 9, right? After, since we've known if it's negative, we've handled this one. Now we want to know if the value is 0 to 9 or if it is not, right? So next if statement we are writing here. Why is my computer not charging, man? Computer is not charging. All these people sending messages on the group chat. Hope they are in class learning, because I see them sending group chat messages when we are supposed to be learning something difficult. Yeah. Anyways. Uh-huh. So we've checked for the number of signs. Now we need to check for if the these are if statements. If statements are very elementary. These are things that we've learned. We can all build if statements on this training. Yeah. We want to check if they contain string 0 to 9, you know, if they are string 0 to 9. So now next thing is if, let's build it into, let's build the shell of the if statement first, and then we come here and tell it the condition. So we want to check if the index I, the current I index of S, if it is should I use equal to, no, greater than or equal to 0, and then less than or equal to 9. Yeah, if it is greater than or equal to 0, oh sorry, that was a mistake, wrong note on the keyboard. Yeah, if it is greater than or equal to string 0, or if it is, let's say and, right, instead of or, because if we use or, it means one of the conditions will make it run, but then we want both conditions to make it run. So if the S position, if the I index of S, yeah, is less than or equal to, yeah, or equal to 9, string 9. Remember at this point, 9 is a string. It's not yet an integer. What do we want to do? If we have, these are the valid inputs that we should be having in our code before our code would run. So we want to be seeing a string 0 or a string 9, you know. So if these were the inputs given to our command line, either a string 0 or a string 9, we now want to convert this string into a digit, right? And how do we do that? We want to convert, okay, let's create a new variable called digits. When we convert the string into a digit, let's create a new variable saying digits and digits, right? So we want to say digit is equal to 0. Let's give it a value, right? So first things first is, how do we convert a string into a digit? You convert a string into a digit by the ASCII value of it. We want to know what the ASCII value of the string is. It's very simple. Uh, let's I opened an ASCII table somewhere last time. Yeah, so this was the ASCII table that we opened. Now, where is string 0? This is string 0. String 0 is at position 48. Where is number 1? Where is 0? 0 is 0 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So each time we want the number 0, we subtract 48 from the string to convert it to a normal number, right? So in essence, string 0 minus 48 is supposed to give us the normal position of it, like the integer position, decimal value of it. Okay, so the same thing for alphabet. You just subtract the equivalent from the number you are seeing here. You subtract the equivalent to get the capital letter and all that. This is how the computer stores. This is how the computer stores values. Okay, so ASCII table, what are we doing from 0? 0, see, 0 here, string character 0 minus 48 is integer 0. Character 1 minus 48 is integer 1. Character 9 minus 48 is integer 9. How do we know that? Character 9 is 57. 57 minus 48. 57 minus 48. Let me pull up a computer for you guys to see the calculation. Yeah. So 57 minus 48 is 9. Here is it, 9, 9. 57 minus 48, and character 9 was 57. We are subtracting 48. So what is 48? 48 is character 0. So if we subtract character 0 from whatever string we have, we are going to get the integer value of it. That's very simple. If it looks a little bit technical and difficult to you, then trust me, you should you should go back to the video, replay it again, think about what I'm saying, think about it critically, and you would understand. I don't have to repeat myself too much. Since this is a video, you can take it back. Okay. Um. Yeah. So that's what it is. I saw somebody saying yes, they are here, they are learning, and that's good. That's good for you guys. Um. So we define a digit. We want to use it to save what the digit is here. So we are saying digits. Uh, the digit is equal to the current value of I, of S, the current index of X that we are checking now. We want to say this minus character 0, which is 48 on the ASCII table, and that will give us the that will give us the, what do they call it, the integer value of it, the decimal value of it, which is an integer, right? So that has solved that problem. Now, since we know digits, we know the character, we now know the digits, the numerical value of that character. We want to save this digit into, okay, first of all, we want to check if it's a positive or a negative value digit, right? And we want to now save it into a number, n, an integer. Let's call it integer n, right? So these digits, how do we find out if it's positive or negative? By checking if d, the value of d here, is even or odd, right? Right? I told you guys. So for us to check if the value of d is even or odd, we can say if d, what do we do to know if it's even or an odd number? We want to check modulus 2 of it. If it returns, if modulus 2 of d returns a remainder or not. Smart, right? I taught you guys about modulus. So modulus 2 of d, 2 of d, if it returns a remainder, this will be true. If it doesn't, this will be false. So if if it's true, it means it returns a remainder. That's to say that it's an odd number and should be negative. So we will now say digits is equal to minus digits, right? This is smart. This is easy. We did not really need to even do much here, and now we know the type of number that this is, if it's positive or negative as a number. Now the next thing that we would want to do, what should we do next? We know if the number is positive or negative. We already have track on the type of number that this is currently. And what next? Okay, we need to save this number now, digits. We don't want to save it as, let's save it as n. So we have to create, we want to say n should be equal to digits. So let's create n here. Okay, let's say n is equal to 0 at first instance of n. And let's come here and create n. Let's add n to define n, right? Let's go up. This is where we are. Yeah. So we want to now say n. Okay, now this is another technical thing that I need to teach you guys. We can't just put this as n. Just imagine that n was plenty numbers. Remember, at this point, we are checking one string one by one. S at position I could be 3 different values, right? So at this point, we want to be able to build a character, like a number, a complete number, not just one number. This, you see how technical C is. This function now, this entire A to I function that I'm building, The reason why I'm building it like this is because you have to build the printf function. And that's why I'm bringing your head to the low level programming. That's why we are doing this. I want to bring your minds down to the low level uh, programming. So you understand how we manipulate ASCII values using ifs and conditions and all of this stuff. You know, if your mind is not getting this right, watch this video over and over and over till you understand what I'm thinking like. And remember, you are supposed to be doing like a lot of whiteboarding. Whiteboarding would have taken my time, like pseudo coding, writing in normal English language what I want to do or how I'm thinking before I start the work. I'm able to do this because I'm not a beginner, and this is beginner level stuff for me. But you can't. You cannot do this. You have to sit down and plan. All of these things I'm deciding as I'm writing code. You are not supposed to do it that way. You are supposed to have already decided on white paper with pen and paper. Oh, to know if it's negative or positive, this is what I will do. To know if the number is this or that, that's how I will do it, and all that. You write it in English language before you now carry down your paper and keep one side, and be looking at it. Okay, step one, this is what I should try to build. Step two, this is what I should try. That's how you should be doing this stuff. Don't do it like me. I'm senior engineer, you are beginner. So start from a book and pen. I did from book and pen too when I was your level. Don't forget. So start from a book and pen, watch this video over and over again, try to understand how I'm thinking as I'm saying this stuff so that you can as well think the same way. Okay, so we just established the fact that we can know if it's positive or negative just by uh, we can know if it's positive or negative just by checking modulus 2. If modulus 2 returns and a remainder is going to be true. If modulus 2 does not return a remainder, is going to be false. So if modulus 2 is true, if this condition here is true, then convert this into a negative number. If it's not, then let it be positive, right? Um, what next should we talk about? Yes, like I said, we need to build the number. So to build this number, we want to say n is equal to n is 0 at this point, right? Times 10 times 10 plus the current digits, right? Plus the current digits. Now, what does this do? I think I need to explain this thing that I'm thinking here. To build this number, n is equal to n times 10 plus the current digits, right? So what is the digit, a positive or a negative number? Let me come down and to somewhere I can just type. So I can type here. Let me use here to explain what n is. So at a point where n is 0, if n is equal to 0, in essence, n is equal to 0 times 10, which is equal to 0, plus the current number, which is 0, which is still equal to 0. Everything is still going to be equal to 0. At the point where n is equal to 1, this is 1 times 10 what's this? This stuff was hanging. Something is popping up. Let's you ignore brief repeated strokes. Let's clear this so we don't have issues here. Hmm? I don't know why that popped up. I haven't seen that command before. Okay, so we are working. Yeah. All right. Um, Current digits is not a positive or a negative number, right? So Where were we? All right, let's just continue. Let's continue. Let's get to the end of it so I can explain all of this together, and then we'll have I have limited time here as well. Um, yeah. So we've stored the value of the current digits into uh, n here, into n, and what then do we need to do next? After storing the value, we already defined what n is here. I'm going to teach you how. Okay, f was 0. At this point now that n has, f was 0 here, here. At this point here now that n is now equal to digits. At this point where n is equal to digits, we now know the value of f, you know. So at this point, I think it's safe for us to say f has been handled, you know. So we return f to, this is where we handled, when we handled f, actually, this is the point where we started knowing the value of f at digit here, right? This is the point where we started knowing the value of f. Okay, so let's say f is equal to 1 now. Since now we've declared what the value of this current value is that we are working on. So remember, I told you the reason why we put f is just to know that we've not worked on this variable, this current index of of s. So since we've not worked on this current index of s, is off. So now we've worked on it, we know the value. Let's change it to 1 to ensure that we are sure anytime we see this, the computer, when it's running, it will be solving multiple strings. It will be converting multiple strings, but when it sees this index of f here, it will check if f is 0 or on. For if this index of I, it will now know if it's 0, it will know that it's still a string, it's not an integer yet. If it's 1 here, it will know that it's not a string, we've worked on it. It's not an integer, we've worked on it. Okay, so at this point, we've worked on it, we know the integer value of it, and it's saved in n, and f now can be on. So what next do we do? We can as well uh what next do we do? What next do we do? See why I say we should be having pseudocodes so we don't confuse ourselves. um we know the value already. We can print out the value, but is that the right thing to do? Should we just print out the value? No, I don't think we should just print out the value. I think what we should do is we should check the current value of s. Hmm? Okay, so instead of just writing out to print out the value, let's check if the current value of s, you know, if the current value of s, let's build this as a simple condition. If s at position I minus 1, no, at not, we don't want to check the past value. We want to check the next value of x. If x at position I plus 1, that's the right thing to do, plus 1. If it's less than 0, If it's less than 0, where is this stuff? Remember, it's still a string. If it's less than 0 string, or if it's greater than 9 string, very important. This thing that I'm thinking now, very important. I think this is defined. This is how we solve it. Plus 1. If the next value, before we skip to the next value, actually, we need to check if the next value is within the values that are acceptable or not. All right, I guess I'm back. I had some network problems. Okay, my camera is still frozen, but I think the network has reconnected. Trying to fix my camera. Okay, okay, yeah. So can you guys see me now? Somebody said wondering why it froze. I can hear, but the screen is still frozen. Is the screen still frozen? Okay, screen frozen. Okay, yes, the screen is still frozen. Let's work on this. Okay, okay. I guess the screen is no longer frozen. These connection issues. Yeah, I can see that the screen is moving. I'm watching it on my end as well now. All right. So we were. This is me here. Okay. trying to get my setup complete. Whole computer. All right, we are here. We are back. Yeah. So we were talking about this stuff. So we want to check if the next character, while we are still working on this character, we are done with this character. Now the next thing that we want to check is if the next character is within the ambit of our operation or not. So if it is the next character is a string that is less than 0, we don't want to work on it. If it is a string that is greater than 9, we don't want to work on it. Right? So if if that's what's going on, we want to just break out of the operation, right? We want to just break out of the operation. And then what next do we want to do? We are done working on this particular string. We want to say we want to set f back to 0. F is equal to 0, right? F is equal to 0 at this point. So we are done. We are done. Each time we run this, we need to increment the value of I inside this while loop. Each time we run this while loop. So we have not incremented that. That would have thrown an error, because we need to work on the next value each time. So I plus plus should be here, right? I plus plus should be there. So that's that for that. Every C program must have a return statement. So before we end it, we want to return something, right? We want to say if we want to check if we are done returning if we are done with this particular uh, index of I, f is equal to 0 is always going to be 0 each time we want to return something. We don't want to return when the program is running, right? So the value of f here is always supposed to be 0 each time that we are returning. So f, I'm going to explain what I'm thinking. If f if is equal to 0, we want to return this to be a successful program. Return 0, right? Otherwise, we want to return the value of the new integer, right? Yeah, so that's that for that. Otherwise, we want to return the value of the new integer. If f is 0, return 0 at this point. If it's not, which is at this point here, that we've known the value of n, f is equal to n at this point. Is f is equal to 1 at this point. N has a value, so we can return 1 here. At this point, when n does not have a value, when f is 0, we return 0. Okay, sorry about that. Let me come and explain all of this. Just hopefully we don't have an error. If we do, debug and find out where the error is coming from. So we have a few integers that we declared here. We declared integer I, n, len, f, d, and digit. Integer I was how we went back and forth through the s list, of the list of characters. Integer I was how we went back and forth through it. Integer n holds the result of our digits. It holds the result of whether a positive or negative digit here. The len is the total number of strings in the character. In essence, we can add numbers that are more than one, two, three, four, five. I wanted to show you guys something. Yes, I remember. I was about showing you guys what this meant, what I meant by this code when I had a glitch. I was about showing you. And what I meant by that, this code here is, remember, this thing is checking. Let's just go down and do a test. Okay, let me explain to that point before we check it, before I explain that for you. So len is the total number of characters inside this character s. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, they are characters, they are not numbers. So for each of them, we are doing something. For each of them, each of the characters, we are calculating them, converting them into strings for every single one of them. Now, D was how we knew if it was positive or negative, and digit was how we saved the number to the positive or negative number. First of all, we initialized all of them and we declared them as 0. Secondly, we did a while loop to find out the length of s per time. Each time we see a character, a string, each time we see a string in the command line, we wanted to know how many characters were inside. If it was 1, 2, 3 or 149, or you know what I mean, or 13, we wanted to know if it was two strings, two characters in the string or not. In essence, okay, first of all, let's save this and see if it works before we keep explaining. Let's save first and see if it works. GCC 3-more .c -o mol. Come on, bruh. On line 16, they are saying we have an error. On line 16. And what can this error be? They are saying multi-character constant. Multi-character constant. Is that like a space here? We'll go check that out. Okay, so a2y function line 16. Let's go there. Let's pop vi 3-more. Okay, and line 16. What are we doing wrong here? What are we getting wrong here? Oh, this is the other way around. Yeah, this is supposed to be the other way around. Really funny. Sometimes the errors we get in this programming thing, they are really funny. Yeah, so no other error. And I kept looking at it. I was like, this looks good. It looks correct. And it was supposed to be a backslash, and we're using a forward slash. Okay, so no errors anymore. That's to say that we are good and we can now do multiplication. So let's clear up the screen, and first of all, let's cut our mol 3-mol first. Yeah, so we can just scroll up to look at it and explain it. And then here, let's test it. Let's say mol ./mol 2 and 5, 3 and 5. And you can see it's 15. 3 times 5, 3 times 5 is 15. It sees 3 and 5 as integers. And let's say 10 and 5. ./mol 10 and 5. You can see that it's 50 here. Now, I want to explain to you the line of code for this 10 that understands this 10. Remember, let's go back to our a to I function. Yeah, so here we defined all the digits and all the integers that we are using for this while loop here, this big giant while loop that we are using to run the code. Now, first things first, we want to know the length of the string. Here, first things first, first thing we want to know how many characters. If the string is one character, or if it's two, or if it's three, we want to find out. So that's what we are doing here. So length of s, is it equal to an empty character? If it is the like we are going through s through the length till we see that we've hit the last character in s, and then for each instant of s we are increasing length by 1. So for the first character, here, character 0, 0 is going to increase to 1, saying we've seen a first character. For the next one here, is going to say we've seen the next character. That's what we are doing here. So len becomes the total number of the characters in the S array. All right. The next thing here is we are saying while I is less than len, remember we initialized I, is our counting variable. So we want to calculate for each of them. So while I is less than len and f is equal to 0, remember f is how we know if we've converted to string or not. So at f equals 0, it means that position x at index I is still a string. If it is still a string, we now do this. First thing we want to know is if s at index of I contains this. If it is this, if it is a negative sign, what are we doing? We are increasing the value of d by 1, d plus plus. At this point, d is 0. And the reason why we are doing this is because in a mathematics operation, especially for a two parameter multiplication, if we have one negative sign, it means that the result is going to be negative. And if we have two negative signs at the two parameters, it means that the result is going to be positive. In essence, each time we see a negative sign, we can simply increment the value of d and then check if d is odd. We know that it's only one negative sign that is on the equation, and then we know that our answer is supposed to be a negative answer. But then if the value of d is positive, if it is even, it means that there are two negative parameters, -3 and -5, as the case may be, which will now return a plus 15, right? So if d, we are going to check later if the value of d is even, plus result. If the value of d is odd, negative result. We go further. Now, we went further to say that if the current value of I is greater than the 0, character 0, and if it is less than character 9, if the current index of I is less than character 9, then and only then should we carry out this operation. And why are we checking if it is less than character 0? See, in the ASCII table, the arrangements are in a chronologic order. So if we should open back our ASCII table and we check character values of 0 to 9, you see that they are together. So we are checking, before we start calculating anything, we want our program to first of all check if index of I, if the current index of x, in index, the current index of x, s is greater than 0 or is equal to 0. In essence, it will go this way. And then if it is less than 9 or if it is equal to 9, so we are only going to go further if the character that was typed into the command line is within this part of the ASCII table. Remember, we are checking the characters part of it. if it is within this part of the ASCII table. If you don't know what ASCII tables are, it means you missed classes. We started from variables and all that. We talked about ASCII tables as well. So go back to your materials. Read. You have a lot to learn. We are going to learn a whole lot. And I'm teaching the right way. Every detail will be taught in this class. We are going to Python. We are going to build. We are going to the level where we start building complex programs, building the things that run on your phones and all that, you know. Criteria, don't forget, criteria to graduate from this training program is that you've built something profitable, which is to say that your minds are going to get. We are teaching the hard way. Don't be scared. Other people will teach you the easy way. They will just come and teach you, hey, JavaScript, how to form a this. But then we are chewing the hard bone. This is just so that when you start learning all those things that they teach you, it will take you one day to learn what they learn for 6 months. You know. So let's stress our minds. Let's stretch our minds to ensure that our minds can understand logic, you know, and all that. Checking if my mic is still on. Yeah. So that's what it is. So only if the character typed into the command line is within this the ambits of these parts is when the code should run. So that's why we are doing this our if greater than this or less than that, should be within that part of the ASCII table that carries all the characters of numbers, you know. So what we should do is we should say digit is equal to the current number minus number 0. I had explained this before, but since I'm explaining, I'm going to explain again. So in digit, we are trying to save into this digits variable the current digit in number, right? So how do we know the current digit in number? We are saying the current index of S minus the character of a number 0 would give you the value in numbers. I explained this before. I told you that at 0, decimal is 48. So 0, if you subtract 0 from 0, is like 48, subtracting 48 from 48, which will now give you decimal 0, which is 0. At point, let's say 54, 6 here is 54. So if you subtract 0 from 54, it's like subtracting 48 from 64. So 64 minus 48 should be equal to 6. Mathematicians, I think you guys would understand this one really fast. You can punch your calculator if explaining like this makes you confused. Pause the video, punch your calculator, do that again. I'm not going to repeat myself. Yeah, so we need to end this live stream. At least before 12, we should be done. We've been here all through 9 o'clock. I know it's a complicated thing that we are learning, but 3 hours? Come on, bro. Yeah. That's how we get the digits. And now, that's how we got the digit here. Here. And now, the next thing we went further to do is we went to find out if this digit is positive or negative. And how are we doing that? We are taking the value of D. Remember when we did this to D, when we got to know how many negative signs are in? If the number of negative signs are even, we want to say if they are odd, make this a negative number. Remember, this is always going to be positive. So we are only checking for if it's odd. If D is odd, then we'll make it a negative number. Else it would originally be a positive number. Okay. So if D here, modulus D modulus 2, if it returns true, if it returns a remainder, means if it returns true. Do you understand? If this condition is true, means this condition returns a remainder. In essence, it's an odd number. That's why divided by 2 should return in a remainder. What should we do? We should say digit is an odd number. In essence, an odd number of negative sign should return a result of a negative number. An even number of negative signs should return a positive number result. So let's try that if that was working in our code. Dot slash mul minus 5 and 10 negative 50 and dot slash mul minus 5 minus 10 a positive 50. So our multiplication function understands the signs. So we are correct in that aspect as well. Yeah. So next thing we did after knowing this is we came here to build the number. Remember, these things are strings. We want to build the number. Imagine that the number is 123, right? Imagine that the number is 123, 1, 2, 3. And there are strings that we are converting to numbers. This simple function is how we build the number and save it in n. Remember when we did this, I wanted to explain this. Something popped up on my screen and distracted me, I remember. So I need to explain this, very important. So n here, imagine the number is, okay, let's say 1, 2, 3. Let's check it. We said n is equal to n times 10 plus digits. At position 1, n is equal to 1 times 10 plus 1, which is equal to 1 times 10 is equal to 10 plus 1, which is equal to 11, I guess. Remember, we said the number that we passed is 1, 2, 3. Let's check the next one for 2. Don't worry, forget about the error there. Let's check. This is just me explaining things to you. 2 is equal to 2 times 10. These are little programming secrets that you can only learn from somebody that has learned it before. Times the number 2, right? Times 2, which is equal to 2 times 10 is 20. 2 times 10 is 20, right? Plus 2 is 22. Wait, before I even explain this, we are here, right? This is where we are at this point. Yeah. So I mentioned something. There are secrets in programming that you cannot let. Let me be seeing your faces as I'm talking. Hope you guys, I can hear you. The screen is frozen. It's no more frozen. Okay, okay, it's no more frozen. There are secrets in programming that let me be seeing you guys, that you cannot learn outside a programming environment, outside a programming school or something. Let me be seeing you guys. You cannot learn these secrets. These are the reasons why you need to be like in a software engineering community like this one that you are in right now. Because there are certain things that you cannot learn on your own. There are certain informations that are not available to like the general public, you know. This information could only be accessed or gotten from a, what do they call it? Could only be accessed or gotten from a software engineering school or institution as this one. You cannot get like some little uh some little things that we practice here in this software engineering community. You can't get it anywhere. You have to be, I'm informing you guys because you need to have this at the back of your mind. In the long run, we are going to bring in younger ones. And you see these little things that I'm trying to teach, these little skills, like little software engineering knowledge, how to manipulate a string to integer. I want people to understand it very well, because I should not be the person teaching the next batch. Yes, I should only be teaching the first batch. People watching this tutorial on this first batch, it's your responsibility to teach the next cohort, not mine. Do you understand? It is your responsibility to teach the next cohort. So that being said, I hope that we understand what we are doing, and we we take it seriously, learn it to the fullest, to the point where I don't have to explain this thing twice. This once will be enough. All right. Um, let me my gen is even turning off. Let me rush through this explanation before we shut down. I'm almost leaving. Next batch will not be taught by me. Next batch will be taught by you guys on this training. That's what I'm saying. So you see these little things like this one I'm just about to explain now. I don't want to be the one explaining it to the next people, because it's very simple. All right. So let's dive right into it. Let's oh, I need to show you people myself again. My screen. Yeah. All right. So this is it. This is what it is. Let me start from the beginning again to explain this thing. Cut more. I don't want to be the one explaining this, especially these little secrets. So open your minds to accept it for what it is and understand it. N times 10 plus digits. This is a small programming trick. N times 10 plus digits. What we are doing here is, it's a string we are calculating. Remember, first position of, okay, let's start from position 0. So you clearly understand this. Yeah. So when n is equal to 0, n is now 0 plus 0 times 10 is equal to 0 times 10. 0 times 10 plus 1. Remember, we are assuming that we are calculating for 1, 2, 3. We are assuming that we are calculating for 1, 2, 3. So at position 0, 0 times 10 plus 1. 0 times 10 is equal to 0. Yeah. Yeah, let's start from position 0. 0 times 10 is equal to 0 plus 1 is equal to 1. Right? I want to go to a new line. It's going to throw an error, because this is not code. This is just me explaining something. At position 1, right? 1 times 10 at position 1. 1 times 10 is equal to 10. Is equal to 10 plus 1. If it's 1, if position 1 is equal to 1 at this point, sorry, this thing has popped up again, right? 1 times 10 plus, this is the second, this was, yeah, this position, this is the first position here, so this should be the second position, plus 2, right? Plus 2 is equal to 12. Is equal to 12, right? So imagine we were calculating for, this is if this was at position 1. At position 0 we had 1, and the total number was 1. At position 1 now we have 2, and 1 plus 2 is 12. You see how we build the string into an array. So imagine that we had 3 at the end of the day. Let's say we had 3 here. Position 2. Position 2. Okay, this is wrong. This is correct. It's actually correct, but what I'm doing wrong is this is where I should be writing the positions alone, and here I should write the value of the string as they occur. So this was to be, I wanted to calculate for 1, 2, 3. If the string had 1, 2, 3, 1 at position 0, 2 at position 1, 3 at position 3, right? So let's go back. I want you to fully understand this stuff. This thing is a little bit technical. So we are calculating for, imagine the string was 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So at position, we have 1 at position 1, right? So we have 1. Imagine that 1 at position, the first position of an index is always 0, right? Times 10 multiplied by 10 plus itself, which is 1, right? This should be 0 times 10, which is 0 plus 1, which is plus this value here. That would now be equal to 1, right? We go down to the next one, right? The next one is 2. We want to check if the string value was 2 at index position 1, right? Remember, when we check a string, this index position 0, this index position 1, 2 is index position 1, this index position 2. So 2 at index position 1 times 10 plus, right, plus 2 is now equal to 12, right? Because 1 times 10 is 10. 10 plus 2 is 12. So let's see if the next string were to be 3. At index position 2, right? So yeah, if the next string were to be, this was 1 here. Okay. This is first one. 1 here. 0 times 10 is equal to 10, is equal to 0 plus 1 is equal to 1. Here now is 1. This one now, this result 1 that we have from the previous this thing. This 1, this is not the index position. This 1 times 10 will still give us 10 plus 2 is equal to 12. Now this 12 times this 12 here times 10 plus the current number we are adding is equal to 12 times 10 is 100 plus, sorry, we are adding this. This is a string addition. So 12 times 10 plus 3. That's what it is. So 12 times 10 is 120. 120 plus 3 is 123. So if you can see it now, it's forming what we are using to the 1, 2, 3 we are adding here. It's forming the number. any number we are getting, this is how we build the, the string that we converted. This is how we add them together. We want one number n. This programming trick. Let's continue. Let's do one more. Imagine that this were to be 123 plus see if I have 4, right? Let's see if this is 123 plus 4. So we've got like 1. My mic is still on. 2, 3, right? Times 10 times 10